So it's been about a month and a half since the start of this Kendrick Lamar versus Drake beef. Obviously, this started due to the release of Metro Boomin's "We Don't Trust You" with Future back in March. And the reason why I say a month and a half in terms of how long this has been going on is because I feel like within the last month and a half, that's when everything started heating up. Um, but the real question is this over? Is this done for? It's been about a week since the last drop of a song, and the last song was the Heart Part 6 by Drake, and obviously it wasn't very well received from the music fans and overall the public. And to be honest, it wasn't Drake's best work. Um, on the other hand, you have Kendrick Lamar, who has quite possibly one of the biggest songs of the year, and is breaking records when Drake was saying that, obviously he's the hit maker out of the big three. But, Kendrick broke a record that Drake previously held for most streams in a day, and I believe it was 12.8 million. But the question now is, since Drake's diss track, The Heart Part 6, was so bad, is there any reason for Kendrick to continue? Obviously, there's a lot of questions regarding Kendrick and whether or not his points, were valid or factual against Drake. And if we really dive into what Drake said in The Heart Part 6, it was a lot of like, I'm too rich, how could I be a pedophile or whatever. It wasn't really coming back on the offensive, which in my opinion, that's like, you can't let the other person know that you are defeated. But Drake literally came out with a 6-minute song with the only diss being the name of the song and using a screenshot of an Instagram comment on, I believe, Kendrick's wife or former wife. I'm not sure exactly. But this all kind of comes down to whether or not, there's anything that Drake can do to refute the claims or make himself, not be the one to lose in the situation. But obviously we have to look into the reality of the situation. Is I really don't think that Kendrick Lamar would make these claims and multiple times and not have a good reason to. So if that is the case, Drake, is dealing with people or working with people that are offenders, and he has a creepy past and all that stuff, and he's still kind of in that realm. It's obviously they need, like, I guess, the solid proof, but honestly, man, it's like when you look at what just happened to Diddy and all that stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if that comes out to be true. But the other thing is, Kendrick did what he had to do when it came to all those diss tracks, from conscious songs, very detailed songs, very like hate-driven songs, and songs with just facts. And ultimately, that's what gave Kendrick Lamar that edge, and just the cherry on top was the Not Like Us, because he created an anthem. And not only did he break records, but he made a club banger that will forever be cemented in hip-hop culture. And it literally, the song is just based on bashing Drake and whether or not he did certain things, or if he's with people that are doing those terrible things about the trafficking or whatever. But I really think that it is over in terms of the beef on the music side of things. Obviously they don't like each other, and hopefully they get to the bottom of what exactly was going on with Drake and whether or not that stuff is true. And if it is, I hope they get some sort of case on him. No matter how popular, man, like, these people do not need to get away with stuff like that. But in terms of the music, I really do think Kendrick did what he had to do, and then Drake kind of just put himself in the coffin at the end. But now the question comes, what happens now? Like, all this happened and, music kind of fired up again. But what is the next step in terms of not only the music, but I guess their beef in general? Whether it's collaborating with other artists, are they just going to continue dropping their music like nothing happened? Are they just going to wait for the other person to drop to pounce again? How is it going to work? Obviously, it's all speculation, but I really think that Drake is just going to try and pretend that it didn't happen. He recently he posted on Instagram on a story talking about how he's ready for the summer vibes. I really think he's just going to try and pretend that it's not there long enough for that to happen. And I mean, just the way that the industry is and how big Drake actually is, I mean, if all that stuff comes out to be true, it'll be very, very sad because, he's still going to have a fan base. He's still going to have people rooting for him. He's still going to have millions of people going to his concert, regardless of the fact that, they prove something, or because, like, I really don't think Kendrick Lamar would just put out random claims and just hope for the best. And like, yeah, this happened or whatever. Oh, excuse me. And in terms of Kendrick Lamar, it really just comes down to how he's going to kind of transition this beef with Drake into his new music that will be coming out in the future. I really think his upcoming album is going to have a lot to do with this beef. I think he's going to, do some callbacks, maybe say like, yeah, don't think that we forgot about this stuff and all kinds of stuff like that. And I honestly hope that Kendrick, because in Not Like Us, he talks about how, the rabbit hole goes deep, and he's got more stuff, just wait on it. That's why I think Drake hasn't responded. I mean, he did respond, but like, I really think that's why Kendrick and just everything kind of settled down, because I mean, Kendrick's got the ammo. Now he's just waiting for Drake to, pull on the trigger, sorry. But yeah, it's like, I really think this is where this beef comes down to an end. And now we kind of get into what is going to happen to Drake. Like, what exactly are things going to change when it comes to his popularity, his streaming, his career, his overall, like, just reputation. He hasn't had the greatest reputation even before this beef, but when you have one of the greatest MCs in Kendrick Lamar come at you like that and absolutely like obliterate you and with crazy, claims and all this stuff, because obviously, the stuff with the aesthetic side of things with, like, Ozempic and, the jokes about the BBL stuff is like, where is this going to take Drake's career, and does he deserve to have a career from this point forward, or is it just once we get concrete proof, that's when that becomes valid, like, take away his platform? Or do we just take what Kendrick said to heart and really be like, okay, maybe we should be aware that this is a big possibility, and there are some facts of people that he associates with that do have claims this way. But the sad truth about this is I think that this is only going to make Drake more relevant. But in order to combat this, or potentially, taint Drake's career a little bit, would just be coming out with that proof. So I really hope that Kendrick comes out and just continues this rabbit hole of this mysterious life of Drake, and whether or not he is, hiding another kid, whether or not he is involved in some sort of trafficking ring, or if he really has a thing for, underage children and all this stuff. when it comes to this, like it goes beyond the music at this point. Obviously, you know, we've had some great records come out from both sides, and it's great for the music. But when you kind of take a look at everything that's gone down, you really have to just hope that, you know, justice is served at the end of it, and that the other person doesn't keep a platform that they could potentially continue to do these horrible things. But I really do think if nothing comes out from Kendrick's side, which I hope it does, and I think it will, in terms of more like facts, more things to prove that stuff, which I do think he has, I really think this was more publicity for Drake, even if he did take an L. But I hope that we, as not only music enjoyers, but just humans in general, are able to separate the music from these horrible things and just be more conscious of it. So with that being said, Kendrick Lamar took a huge dub. He dropped the song of the year, I think, or at least like just the hit of the year with Not Like Us and some other great tracks. Drake, you know, he had some good tracks, a couple good tracks, but ultimately when you have that kind of stuff and you have no way of, you know, coming back from that, it starts to make you look like you're guilty, and you already have other allegations and all this stuff. So it's been good for music, but I hope that at the end of it, we you know, what needs to be done for it to be right happens. That's been it for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Pass the Aux podcast channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.